Thank you so much to the sponsor of today's episode, Celary Hairspace. You can catch them on Instagram to book your next appointment for your hair.
12 at that point. And she was like, my daughter wants to sing, can she join you? And they were like, no, because we're only accepting adults and she's 13.
Oh my
And
God.
also no, because it's a professional choir. I was like, okay, so she continued looking. And she found gospel workshops for me. And it used to be a huge thing in Poland, but also quite hermetic. Like you only knew about it if you were quiet. So you somehow got in the. It's kind of like African community in Poland.
Of course, you need to be in the circle to kind of.
Yeah. So she signed me up for my first workshop, and she went for her first workshop with me. Sat down with me for some time, and then she was like, "Go."
This is.
I was like, "Don't because everyone was adult, and I was the only like younger kid. She was like, no, I gotta go, you have to stay. And she left me. I was like, bitch. I'm joking.
But I know what you mean. You felt really comfortable.
It's like when parents leave children at
school, yeah,
for
like
the
the
first time.
week, you need to like stay with them.
Like you love them and you want to give them comfort, but they also need to stay at school.
Alone. Yes.
So she gave me that, and I was
Yes.
like, okay. And then from that point forward, I started singing at gospel workshops all around Poland, and I became a soloist. And it was instructors coming from States, UK, from different places, and I traveled all around. And my mom was a single mom, so I was at this point traveling alone. I mean, she would give me, sometimes it would be like the workshops are in Gdańsk.
Okay.
So I would get on the train by myself, I would get myself a ticket, I would get on the train myself, I would go to Gdańsk. I would do workshops there, I would come back, and I was like 14, 15, 16.
Oh my goodness. You were taking the bus, everything by yourself. So you grew up really, like you became independent.
I wasn't to an extent.
Yeah.
Because, the thing is, as hard as it might sound, there are things that it wasn't a perfect situation. My mom was a single mom. She needed to go to work.
Yeah.
She couldn't take me to all the rehearsals. She couldn't take me everywhere she wanted me to go. But she wanted me to be the best.
Exactly.
She wanted me to succeed. She wanted me to do what I love.
And she knew you were passionate about it.
And if she can't take me as much risk as comes with it, then and also it was a good circle to, if you think about it, that I come back from school and I don't go out and stay on the streets or do nothing. I have a passion. And I wasn't like a party super, like I was popular, I would say, but I wasn't a party person. I didn't smoke cigarettes. My mom did smoke cigarettes, didn't drink.
Yeah.
And I drank a little bit.
Yeah.
I want people thirsty.
Of course.
But I wasn't doing too much. I was really about that music.
Wow.
Not everyone would say that, but my mom would say it. But maybe the outside world, the schools, the teachers.
That's a different case. So did you ever did you audition for any, now in Poland they have this, the voice of something.
So when I was 18.
Okay.
So I was singing for this whole time from 13 for a couple of years. Like, on stages. It was like huge crowds sometimes.
Wow.
Like thousands of people sometimes. And I became a soloist, and then I went to The Voice of Poland when I was 18.
Wow. How was your experience? Because I've been hearing a lot of different experiences also from one of my last guests, so I really want to get your own take.
I think what it is like people who get in there, especially young people, or people who just are not in the industry, because now I'm in the industry.
Yes.
I see everyone. I see it from a different perspective. I've done multiple shows, programs, this voiceover, anything basically that you can think of in there.
Oh, I was with you at that other show where all the singers, all the professionals, remember? They were all the professionals and you need to sing one person out.
Oh, the four. Yeah, I was
I love the four. You killed it.
So I was in different places, different spaces, sang on different stages. That's later. We're coming back to when I'm 18.
Yes.
I'm singing gospel music and I go around and this is my experience, but it was kind of like secular. But he told me to go, I went. I was in one school with him, in music school, and they just took me. So I didn't have a huge plan back then. It was some years ago. So back then, social social media was different. Oh my God, I'm talking like I'm 64 years old. I went on the show, and it was right after my mom passed away.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was hard because
What happened to your mom?
she had cancer. So it was hard because it's TV, and TV will always be TV. So you have a whole day of rehearsals. You're 18 years old. You just lost your mom. You don't even fully know how it affected you.
Yeah.
You are in the TV show and in a production of the TV show, which takes days, and sometimes you come on the set that's very early morning and you leave at night. And you have interviews, rehearsals, one thing after another. And they make TV. So they, for example, start asking you about things that you didn't work through yourself yet because it just literally happened. So now you're sitting there and crying because so this type of, and it's just a lot. And then the social media, me being a black person, and people saying that this is a show for white people, Polish people, and I'm not Polish. And why are we promoting not Polish people when I'm not Polish? Girl. Anyway, so all of those things affected me back then.
And did you realize that back then, or it was just somehow inside and you were, you know what I mean? And
I had a Nigerian boyfriend back then.
Okay.
And actually, there's a lot of shit that went down that wasn't the greatest, and that's why we are not together.
Okay.
But we were for a couple of years,
Okay.
and back then he was the one that actually lifted me up.
Wow.
Because everything else, like the show, is already a stress. They actually, back then, you had those times where you had to act like you're stressed so they can record it, so that they can play it, that you were stressed before the performance, for example. Or like they do interviews with you right before you go on stage, and they ask you about how your mom's death affected you or something. And then you go on stage, you know? So it's already a lot. And then you get this huge platform where you're shown to millions of people, and they are racist. And they tell you you're not Polish. They curse your parents out. Like they talk the most shit about
at this point, you've even lost not one but both of your parents.
So it's already hard, but you're 18, so also don't fully process everything. You're still in the grieving that you don't even know that you're in. I'm just like giving you a picture of where I was, but at that time, and I didn't even probably know. So when they started saying these things under one of my articles, they did an interview with me, and I was just talking, and the interviewer, this is the Polish insensitivity and ignorance that I'm talking about. She was asking me about some African band from some country that I never heard of this band. She was like, how do you feel about this music? And then you have comments like, why don't you talk about something Polish? And then she would ask probably, they would ask about racism, even on TV. And it's like, do you have a ready answer? Can you answer it in 2 minutes or 1 minute or 30 seconds? Are you supposed to say yes or no? So I was somehow navigating through that, but when I read the comments, back then it broke me. And he was the one who actually was like, I would be in bed probably at that time. I was like, okay, I'm done. But he was like, get up. Get yourself, pick it up. So that, he definitely, he was the person that was there for me at that time.
Sometimes maybe you see that something is there because at that point you only had your big brother.
Yeah.
And probably he was in school, I don't know, also in his own life.
And he was doing his own thing. He was my age.
Yeah.
The age I am right now.
Yeah.
So are you ready to also take over to be a parent of an 18-year-old? If you ask about Africa, maybe this is kind of normal a little bit for older siblings to be raising younger ones.
Exactly.
But if you talk about Europe, it's not necessarily a case. In Poland, we are connected, we are family people, but it looks differently. It's not like the eldest always has the most responsibility.
Yeah.
Kind of people live their own lives here. So I'm not saying that's my brother, but I'm just saying culturally he definitely wasn't groomed into being ready for that responsibility. My mom had a point of him having his own childhood. So she didn't involve him in raising me.
Of course.
So then when the time came, which nobody could be really fully prepared for, because how do you prepare your son for being a parent to your daughter? Nobody knows, and at the end of the day,
you did the best.
And you think also like you want to fight, so you don't want to make your children feel like you are already setting them up for it's not perfect behavior in that situation, basically.
Yeah.
So and so he was there, but we were kind of figuring everything out. And so then I would say that my ex was definitely a huge support in that time.
But someone like this, it's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm saying like he was really there.
Right.
We got through the next stages, and when my judge was like my coach, because you know how the voice works, you can check it out in years or whatever. So my coach, when she was eliminating me, she said, "I'm eliminating you, but I also want you to sing with me, and you will go on the tour with me."
And I know her. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I started singing, I started going on tours, and that's how my secular music journey started.
It's amazing.
And I started singing and doing different things, making my own music, and from there, radio host and everything else that came after, basically.
I'm so happy for you. Wow, what a journey.
It's a journey.
It has been a journey. The acting, because we gotta talk about the acting debut now, girl. Like, how did that whole thing? Because I know you're a character girl, like not even front. But how did that, come into play as you were singing?
When I started going more into it, it just presented new opportunities for me. It wasn't I was put into this because my mom wanted me. She just basically tried to help me because I told her what I want. So she tried to support me in it. And then acting, I always said something, I would say, where generally people who act, or when I got in contact, they would say, even I had those propositions when I was a child to be in commercials.
Of course.
So mom just didn't put me in it. And so then, fun fact, my first role in a movie, I actually came one day after, it was call after call, 2 separate people.
Wow.
And it was for Netflix.
Okay.
And it was for the movie.
That
The
one.
director of the movie is the singer that I started singing with when I was 18, when I was on The Voice. So she was looking for a specific role, and she was like, I did a casting, and I've been searching, but I can't find a person that matches the vibe. So she was like, so come to the casting, and let's see if maybe it would work. I don't know, but she was like, maybe it would work. And it wasn't her decision.
Okay, of course.
Everyone decided that this role would be
the best fit for you.
Yeah, it was the best fit for me. And the other day, the Netflix called. I mean, it was literally call after call, but 2 separate productions. Nothing to do with it.
I guess the universe knew this was your time for that.
Probably. And then I did the series on with Netflix.
Yes.
But I think it kind of came from me doing a video for one of the top Polish rappers.
Okay.
And I played the role of him. Because there's 4 rappers in a group.
Okay.
And they were doing kind of a rap track for girls.
Okay.
So they were turning themselves into
women?
Female versions.
Okay.
So that was so there's Bedoes.
Okay.
And he turned me into himself.
Okay.
So we're
I
switching
think I saw that thing that you guys were okay, super.
And it was like viral and a big thing because it was guys, rappers, not talking about. They reached out to me and I checked it because they reach out to me for videos.
Yeah.
And it has been a thing. But I don't do all the videos.
It needs to make sense.
I like the concept and everything. So I did it, and it was a big thing because it was rappers not talking about I want to fuck you or
girls.
Something. They were like,
I agree. Even the
I was raised by a woman, and she taught me how to be a man, and they were talking like this in this track. So I think it went viral, and from that point, that's why probably they came at me at a similar time. I mean, no, the Marisha was kind of separate.
Something separate because she knew you.
She knew me, and she just was like, oh. But the Netflix came from that. They were looking for someone for the role, and somebody saw me in the video, and they're like,
and how did you feel? Like, did you have to be like, I need to go get more extra classes? Were you like, just chilled, like, because anyways, you're a singer, you do a lot of music videos and things like that. You were just like,
I felt like I'm gonna do it. I don't want to make it. Like, I tried to, I did rehearse it.
Okay.
Like how I would do it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I also felt like I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah.
And actually, the movie that I did wasn't rated the highest. However, my role was received very, very well.
Yeah, you were that good supporting actress. I could tell. I loved it.
It was like one of the top, actually. There was 4 top actors in the whole movie, and the 3 of them had like a threesome, and I was the friend of the main actress. So I was like, when you have a movie roles and stuff, you have the spreadsheets. When number 1 is the main actor, and then everyone. So I was the 4. So it's like, you know, so it was fun. I've always been on doing things that I haven't done and I want to try. Like recently, someone called me for a voiceover. I did a voiceover.
You did that with Ben as well, right? Was it that one or
but
the
it's
other one?
3 separate. Like this one we did together.
Okay.
But I also did a full voiceover for the newest season of the app shows on Netflix. This Polish, you know, voiceover.
Oh my goodness!
I was like, have you done it before? I was like, no, but would you like to try it?
Yeah.
And they know me from the radio. So, and when I went for the, like, I was invited to for the interview with the radio, and they called me again. They were like, do you want to come after some time and talk about your new music? Okay, cool. They were like, do you want to be co-host and come through sometimes, like rotational and then just come through?
Now that's the radio campus, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about. Okay.
Yes. So I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Then I became the host with them.
Of course, yeah.
Then one of them had to travel out somewhere, so we stayed there just the 2 of us. And then the other one was starting to produce a movie or something, so he had to leave. So then it became my show from that. So that's how the radio started, and now, you know, there's not many women in voiceover.
Of course.
So they were looking for a woman, and I did the voiceover for Pacoma City movie and for the Netflix show. A couple of different things. I did the Disney singing too.
I love that. The one with the, oh my goodness.
Sometimes I think to myself, because actually whenever I accomplish something, it's like I would like to share it with my mom, because she was the one who not only supported me and facilitated all of those things in the circumstances that we were in, but also just the person who would get the happiest for any accomplishment. Maybe sometimes even more than her own, like just, you know, and that's the only person that's happy for you like that, like genuinely happy. I remember one time I wore something crazy, and we were supposed to go to church, like green stockings.
Yes.
They had a fishnet here. I was small. She let me fuck with the fashion and do whatever I wanted. A little crazy sometimes. Yeah. So I wore the stockings. I wore the mini skirts. I don't remember what I was, but this was crazy enough because it's Poland, Catholic. We have to take it like 20 years back.
Oh my goodness.
No, not 20. Maybe 15 something.
Okay.
And I said, I was self-conscious about it at the end of the day. I dressed up, but I was like, Mom, can I go out like this? You know, is it like not too much? She was like, do you like it? I was like, yeah. So let's go. So we went, and I saw people looking at me, and I was it was like early teenage years. So I loved my mom, but also I could be in my own space,
of course,
a little bit away from her. So, you know, not only you are a black girl, that back then, when I was a child, they would point fingers, call me names, laugh when they saw me walking and stuff like that. I was in the capital. So not only that, but now I'm dressed crazy. And I'm in church. So I saw people looking at me, but I would just look at my mom, and she was standing back, and she was like,
I feel the confidence you needed.
Yes. Yeah. And generally the confidence. So now, when I have this accomplishments, like, I feel like only she could get that happy and genuinely.
Because you went way back, like you were together.
And just this fact that she was just like, you know, when I remember looking back at her, she's like, say something.
Girl, you exactly, like, we're in this together. And that's amazing. Like, I feel like she's watching from heaven. She do you get signs like from her? Do you see her in your dreams? Do you like, is there something that you know is of her that when it happens, you know,
It's hard to say.
Okay.
I was raised as a Christian, but I'm not a part
of spiritual.
I would say I'm spiritual, but I'm not part of the church. I went through Protestant church because of my singing. I went through Catholic church because that's how I was brought up, and I'm not into institutions. We don't need to go into religious stuff, but just like at this point, I'm not going to church.
Yeah.
So I'm finding out what is really true for me, because at the end of the day, with all of this, you can have your beliefs,
Yes.
but you never will have a concrete proof that you are right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's a matter of faith.
Mm.
So for me, I'm finding ways of what makes me feel comfortable, what makes me feel good, what makes sense.
So
makes
you're
my
still like
soul-
in search. Is that what you're saying, or you're just?
No,
going with
I'm
the
saying
flow?
life is growth.
Okay.
And I will be growing my whole life, and my goal is to be good to people, to be a good person, to have empathy, to not be judgmental, to eliminate things from my own behavior that I don't like, and work on myself and treat other people fair and well. And that's my goal for my life. And when it comes to my spiritual growth, this is a thing that kind of like changes for me. I'd say I'm very spiritual. I think of my mom every day. I do talk to God, but if you ask me, God, is he a man with blue eyes and long hair? I'll tell you, I don't think so. If you ask me if it's a man, I don't even think it's a man.
Yeah.
If you ask me if it's a woman, I don't think it's a woman. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do feel that energy, and I read a lot of energy, and not on a crazy level, just I mean, I get in contact with people and I feel like I can feel their.
Okay, so you believe in the whole energy thing, what you give out is what you get, like the
Kind of.
universe and all of that.
But I don't actually believe that fully. That's the thing, like I feel like we're being told that karma is always going to catch everyone, but I feel like another life is actually about understanding that you cannot always get a closure, and that life is not always fair. And that if someone did you wrong, it doesn't mean that their life is going to fall in pieces. I mean, you might believe that, and maybe that's going to happen, but it's not for sure. So what are you going to do with it when the life actually don't fall apart? Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong.
That's true, and that's what actually makes the other
You have to
person
learn
bitter.
to move on without them falling apart. Like, you just gotta do you, and you gotta do your own work.
Like
I
I
was
always
in
tell
love with a
people,
man,
okay.
and he broke my heart. And I had to do my own work, even though it's unfair, because he, like, I don't need to go into details, but he was, let's say,
You're trying to say something but not give it away. I know you're girl.
He was like, I'm looking for the word, dishonest. I would say this. There are a lot of good things. I liked him for a reason, a lot of good qualities, but dishonesty was, at the end of the day, and narcissistic personality was the issue that, you know, we couldn't raise about. So it was on him. I'm not saying I'm perfect, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this particular fallout of the relationship.
Yeah.
So even though it's on him, and even though he did things that hurt me, I'm still the one that has to do the work. And he might be, even with the narcissistic personality, his life might look like it's flowers and rainbows. But it's not about that. I have to do my own work after my broken heart to put it into pieces to see what happened that, for example, you know, I was vulnerable to certain things. Maybe it's coming from like, it's literally your work.
Right.
And if anyone has a broken heart, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's like,
That's true.
It
And
can
you
catch
need
you
to do the
anytime,
work
you know?
in yourself to know it's not about you or taking it into the next relationship.
but it's unfair, you know, this whole karma talk is like, he's gonna get his karma.
Yeah.
He might be living the best life, and your broken self is something
Or
that
it
you
might
have to
come
fix.
way later, who knows, 50 years from
But
now.
are you gonna wait for them?
Exactly.
And that's when you're gonna feel good, when
That's
they're gonna
true.
fall apart. And what if they don't fall apart? You spent your whole life looking at your ex-boyfriend, living his life,
And then you become the bitter person because you're waiting for something bad to happen to the person. I just feel like the best karma is you just doing the work in yourself and living your best life. And I always tell a lot of my friends, like, wigs are for closure. Like, please, just
And two,
leave
we
that
need
in
to
your
just
cup
say,
and move on.
we need to just say, I'm talking about my recent relationship because we have to mention, you know,
Oh my goodness.
I'm just saying, all I said was basically to say that it's something that I had to learn because my heart, I never was that heartbroken. So I kind of even was like, what is the big deal? Because if somebody would mistreat me, I would just walk away.
That's true.
That's how I was.
Yeah.
And so I didn't understand how somebody is mistreating you, but you stay in the relationship.
Wow.
And I understood that there is emotional and physical abuse, different things that can cause a victim of such thing to stay in. But generally, I was like, you know, even as hard as it might be for me, my dignity, I gotta go if you mistreat me. But in this particular situation, I acted a little differently, and I stayed. And for me, that's the thing where I understood. There's other people that I wasn't judging them, I just wasn't understanding.
Them to that level because you just knew it won't be me because I will be gone.
Yeah.
And you realize, how did I stay for this long? I mean, you did left, but it just took longer.
I mean, it was almost a year, it was like a year. It's still too long. But at the same time, I'm proud of myself because when I was walking away from that man, I really loved him. Still. So, I still have to walk away. So that's the thing. Those are the things that are hard in life, you know?
That's true. Would you ever come back to him if he says, babe, I changed everything?
He would have to change a lot of things in his own situation, his own life, in order for me to even consider that. But if it was the same life and lifestyle, and
do you think people really truly change?
I think that the toxic personalities, like narcissistic stuff, is really hard. It's almost impossible for them to change because that's their personality trait. And I'm not saying because narcissistic behaviors is one. Narcissistic personality is different. Like anyone can display narcissistic behaviors without being a narcissist.
That's true.
But I'm talking narcissistic personality. It's very rigid to change. And the way they're set up, it's hard to change that. But I'm saying like, you never know in life technically. But I'm just saying like I'm not waiting for anyone unless I see, because there's space for growth in a relationship for me, for my partner. But unless I see, sometimes you talk to people. I'm a person that before I'll give you a million signs. Not signs, I will speak to you. I'll be like, this is my problem. This is what I want to hear from you. What's up? And if we doing that and nothing is changing, and you give me words that I want to hear, but no changed action, then, like I said, I walked away from the man that I love like the most I've ever loved anyone. Because
you think you'll ever still be in that space to love someone new again?
I hope so, because I would be damned if I stop loving people and trusting them because of that man. No. No, like, that's what I was saying to myself, that everything is cool, yes, heartbroken, sad, I have to work on that, blah, 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 but it will not take my trust away. It will not take my vulnerable part. I'm still a lover girl, and that's not going to change. And, I believe that there are good things in store. Every time I think, maybe I will not meet a person like that or something, somebody comes ultimately in life. Life is a whole, and if you grow, the things that you liked 2 years ago, you're not going to like them anymore. So, even right now, I look at the same man differently than I did
back then. And I always tell people that, you might think when you're going through heartbreak that you will never love the person. Like, there will never be that kind of love again. But I always say, always give that same reaction with what you used to have before, thinking, oh, I'm in love with this person. Here you are in love again with another person that you're going. So for sure in the future, you would have that love, and you just need to be optimistic. You just need to be delulu enough, have a little bit of J-Lo optimism. So, and yeah, like,
but sometimes everyone deserves love, but sometimes it's also about, for example, the love bombing and everything. Like, this is also kind of cultural thing that we're there, because the difference between Polish men and, I'll say again, African, but you know what I mean. I don't really call Africa as a country. I mean, just culturally, the continent. We also say Europe, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But in Poland, men are more reserved. And in Africa, they'll tell you they want to marry you tomorrow,
That's true.
But I just feel like,
I feel
it's too fast. Like, what love really is to you.
It really is. I remember talking to someone, and within, it hasn't even been up to 48 hours, and it was like, oh, I'm in love with you. And I'm like, how is that possible? Like, bro, we
and what does it mean to you?
Just on the phone, exactly.
So you love me today, will you love me in 3 weeks? I'm not even talking about 3 years.
Actions
or when you get what you want to get, will you still love me then?
Action speaks louder than words. And on this note, I feel like we could go on and on with Eva and I, but we are going to wrap this up because this was juicy, and I am so thankful for you coming on this show.
It was fun. It was a nice conversation.
Thank you, and I wish you all the best. I feel like, you know, great things are coming your way, and they're gonna
And
keep
the same
on coming.
with you, girl. I'm always rooting for you when I have an opportunity. I always come through.
Yes, you
And
always
like,
do.
you know.
I'm appreciative for our friendship. And on that note, we're signing out. It's your girl Agnesita, and see you next time on another episode of Get a Story.